Assalamu alaikum guys. Today I'm doing something very special that I've actually never done before. I've always been showing on my social media the activities, the events that we're doing here, but I've never really made a complete tour about the Taipei Grand Mosque itself. I mean, I almost come here every single day, so it feels like my own home. But for most of you who haven't visited this place yet, you're probably wondering and curious about what's actually inside. So I'd like to show you around so that you can not only see what we have here, but also what we're doing. Now, just a quick background information about the masjid itself. The Taipei Grand Mosque is the first, the largest, and the oldest mosque in Taiwan. This entire structure was completed in 1960, but actually it already existed even before in 1949. But back then it was just at another place, and you could say it was like a temporary masjid. And by the way, this road has a very special name given by the locals here. It's not the official name, but the people would name it Tiantang Zhilu, which means the road of heaven. Why is that the case? Because other than the masjid, there's also a couple of other big famous churches on the same road. There's the Holy Family Catholic Church right next to us. So that's why a lot of organizations and the schools, they would be organizing trips just purely visiting the religious places on this road, and that will be more than enough. And here's something that not so many people actually know about. Even the Taiwanese people, they don't really know. The architect behind who designed the masjid was actually not a Muslim, but a famous architect by the name of Yang Zhuochen. His name probably would be recognized by the Taiwanese people because he also famously designed two famous structures in Taiwan, which are the Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall, which is, by the way, the place that most tourists who come to Taiwan, they would visit. And the second one is the Yuanshan Grand Hotel. And the purpose behind building this masjid was actually more of a diplomatic move, because they wanted to strengthen the diplomatic relations with some of the Muslim countries back then, especially like Saudi Arabia, like Jordan, like Iran. And that's why many of the leaders of the countries back then, they actually visited this particular masjid, including who? Including Malik Faisal of Saudi Arabia, including Adnan Menderes from Turkey, and there's Tunku Abdul Rahman, the former Prime Minister of Malaysia. There's the King Hussein of Jordan, and so on. And even until now, this masjid is basically the go-to place for any Muslim who's visiting Taiwan. Sometimes there are some very important figures that come here, and even the Taiwanese government, they are not really aware of it. So enough about the background, let's start to get inside. As you can see, there is two pathways around the masjid so that the cars can come here and park here. And it's usually very crowded, it's full, especially during Ramadan. And the garden, as you see here, is actually new. There wasn't actually any grass up until a couple months ago. And that's why you can still see the yellow signs. And by the way, because it's really hard to park in this area, the parking is very limited. So there's a special allowance by the city government for the Muslims that we can park our cars on the other side of the street every single Friday during the time of Jum'ah. And of course, the same is applied for the Catholics on Sunday morning. They can also park their cars on their side too. So this space right here, usually most of the time during the week it's empty, but on every Saturday we would have a dawah table. So we would be putting some religious books, we would be putting some Quran in Arabic and Chinese translation. So anybody who passes by, they can come here, and then there's also some snacks that they can get, and they can just hear and chat with us. If they want, we can also give them a tour, which would take maybe like half an hour or an hour, just to help them understand about Islam. And of course, also during Jum'ah on Friday, there will be some Pakistani brothers. They would be serving some food here. So the queue will actually line up all the way almost to the entrance. Yeah, that's how crowded it gets on Jum'ah. And of course, during Eid is even crazier. Sometimes it's so full that we almost need to go maybe to the other side of the street, because all the space that you can see here is filled. Even the walkway, you see the place where people are walking right now, that's how full it gets. Like people would literally be praying outside in the sidewalk. So usually we would need to organize the Salatul Eid in 2 to 3 batches, at least minimum. Otherwise, it will not be enough to accommodate everybody coming here. So now we get into the interior part of the masjid. You'll be seeing a small table here. There will be some small brochures about Islam and so on. Usually there's nobody sitting here, by the way. Like that chair, I think is brand new. I think somebody just took it in. Usually there's nobody who'll be sitting here. Maybe it's somebody who's just eating there or just, um, taking a break or something. But usually there wouldn't be anybody who's sitting there. And as you can see, this board, it just talks about the pillars of Islam, the pillars of faith, of Iman. But it's actually a very, very old board. I kind of wish that we have a more modern one because some of the words, the terms that it's using, it's not really the terms that the Muslims today would be using. All right. Next to it is just the clocks, and actually it's not that accurate, but this is the time uh, where we are actually praying in the masjid. Okay, it's not the same time, the same exact time that we have on our phones. It's just the timing that the jama'ah would be praying in the masjid. So this is not really, I would say, that much useful for the Muslims, but it's useful for the tourists. When they come to the masjid, we can show them about the timing of the prayer. So I think the purpose of showing to the tourists is actually more than benefiting ourselves. And here's the board of the masjid. You can see that the latest announcements going on here, who's done the charities, their names, some announcement. And here, for example, this is our latest event that we are organizing on the 7th and the 8th of February. This is a big gathering, a yearly gathering for the reverts in Taiwan. So we'll be having a 2-day event. You can see here the timetable of that event. We're going to be having some activities, and yeah, you can see some other advertisements for the ongoing events going on. And of course, this is the main prayer hall inside. The male section is here, and if you are a sister, then the female's prayer hall is upstairs. So you would have to come here, go up with the stairs, and then put your shoes on the shoe rack. And of course, just to give everybody a good reminder that when you come to the masjid, you don't actually need to take your shoes off here, because I know that a lot of brothers and sisters coming from, let's say, Indonesia or Malaysia, they would think that they have to take off their shoes over there, but actually you don't need to. Like, we're walking with our shoes here. So if you need to get into the prayer hall, then take off your shoes, put them inside, don't put on the ground. So just to give you a quick look. So this is relatively simple. I think you can accommodate about 150 or 200 people in this area. And of course, during Ramadan, we will be having i'tikaf as well. Some people, they would be sleeping here. Usually, it's actually not allowed for people to come and sleep overnight, but only during Ramadan, especially the last 10 days, we will be having people who come in and sleep here. And on the sides, you would be seeing some of the Quran, maybe some other religious books that you can see in any other masjid. And at the same time, actually, this prayer hall is also the place where we have classes for the children, the Muslim children. They will be having their Islamic classes on Sunday. And as you can see, these are some boards to teach the little kids what to say after the salah. So on the right side of the masjid, there is a couple things. First, you can see that there is a couple of offices. There is the Chinese Muslim Association office, and then there is the Taipei Grand Mosque office. And you really need to know the difference, because the main organization in charge of every single activity, whatever is going on, is this office. Okay, that office, I will be very honest, they don't have anything to do with this masjid. Okay, it's actually quite ironic, but this is the masjid that you need to go to if you have anything related to the masjid. All right, so whether you lost something, whether you want to give zakah, whether you want to do anything, just come to this office. And inside here, it's the main hall. Right now, I think they have some work and construction, so I'm not gonna get in. But this is the place basically where we usually have or events. So even, for example, during Jum'ah, of course the main prayer hall is not enough to accommodate everybody. So this place will also be a prayer space for the males. And also right after the Jum'ah prayer, it's going to be a place for bazaar. So if you actually come to Taiwan and you come to this masjid to pray Jum'ah, please don't just leave the masjid right after Jum'ah. There's a whole bazaar in this place. A lot of people, they just leave the masjid right after they pray and they miss out the whole interesting thing here. Now when you go to the left side, now here there is the VIP room. This is also a smaller space, but also multifunctional, similar to the main hall. Sometimes if we cannot organize the events in the main hall, maybe we'll be doing in this room instead, but of course it's relatively smaller, so it could accommodate maybe, let's say, 20 to 30 people. So if we have like a class, then this space is more suitable than doing in the main hall. Also because of the sound, because in the main hall, the sound may be echoing if you're speaking inside. But here in this room, it's more suitable if you're having a small class. So for example, here you can see we have the beginner Arabic course. And this is a course that actually a lot of non-Muslims, they come and join. We're just about the end of it. Actually, it's just about to end every Saturday. And this is a Tajweed class, also on every Saturday. It's held here. And also sometimes if we have like, nikah, the ceremonies, we'll be doing it inside this room as well. So it's, very multifunctional. Right now it's closed, but if you want to rent it, you can also go to the office at the end. And here is my office. I'll just give you a quick tour. Nothing much to see, it's just quite messy in here. But this is where I would usually work. So if you do come to the Taipei Grand Mosque, do pay me a visit in my office if I'm here. It's just some books in here, the Chinese Quran. So if anybody knows some Taiwanese friends, non-Muslim, who's interested in reading the Quran in traditional Chinese, then here's the book. We are printing a lot of them. I mean, these are the last 3 boxes that I have. Then inshallah, after we finish it, we are going to print another batch. Each batch is about 500 copies. So we have already given away almost 1,000 copies so far, alhamdulillah. And these are just some other books. And I've got some quite messy stuff inside, but actually a lot of them are things that could be given to the new Muslims. So for example, there are some scarves inside. There are some, topi, the hat, and some prayer mats, small booklets and so on. So and here there's the females bathroom. There's also another office of the Taipei Grand Mosque. This is more dealing with the finances. So if you want to ask some questions about the finance, you can come here. And this is the room of another imam. Today he is taking a day off. And this is the bathroom. This is the place where you can kind of take your wudu here as well. This is the wudu area, okay? People will be taking the wudu here, the tissues, and you can get your sandals in here. If you're wearing shoes like me, you don't want to get your shoes wet, you can take sandals. And there are some shower rooms. Not all of them are shower rooms, but some of them have been taken as storage. So you can see there is some stuff over here. It's a bit messy. And another very important thing here is the room for washing the mayyit, the dead bodies. After one of the brother or sister has passed away, then we will be sending them here to wash their bodies in this room. I don't know what is this called in English, but this is the place where we're washing it. And then we offer the janazah prayer in the main hall. And that's it. It's just a very, very quick and simple tour. Obviously, there's really not so much to see, but I just want you to know that it's actually a very vibrant community, and we always have a lot of different kind of events. So So for example, in almost every single season, there's going to be a bigger bazaar. Like even though every Friday after Jummah we have a smaller bazaar, but every season we have this big bazaar that we would have a lot of stalls outside of the masjid, even on the street outside, so that even the non-Muslims, they can come and enjoy the food, or buy some clothes, and because of that they would come into the masjid. Because this street, you see, a lot of people are passing by, but not a lot of them know that this is a place that you can actually come in and visit. And that's why, because of this kind of events, we really show the people that we're actually very open, and they're more than welcome to come and visit the masjid if they want to. Even though it's better if they can actually contact us beforehand. So that's why almost every single week we have a lot of groups of people, especially from schools. They will be coming to the masjid just to have a understanding of it, so that we will be giving them some tours. So of course, if you want to have a proper tour, it's better to contact us beforehand. Otherwise, if you happen to see me in the middle of the week, then if I have time, I will give you a tour. But most of the time I might be working in my office, so I might not be always aware of the visitors who are coming in. I also want to add on that this is basically like the only proper big masjid in Taipei. Even though there's two other masjid, but they're of a smaller scale, almost like just a prayer room. This one is basically the only one that all the Muslims in Taipei would be coming for Jum'ah. So that's why every time we come, we would be seeing people that we know. And that is also why I feel that the relationship that we have with the Muslim brotherhood or sisterhood is closer and more attached than the mosque in other places, because we're just a very small community. Even though it gets crowded, really, really crowded during the holidays, during Eid and so on, but still, most of the time, the people who would come to the masjid very frequently is always, the same people. So, alhamdulillah, I feel that it's a really, really different vibe. And since I'm also somebody who actually grew up here, even though I didn't really live here for a long time, but I used to come to this masjid when I was little. So, of course, it's very touching for me to see the changes, not really in terms of the structure, but in terms of the people. One of the very sad things, of course, is that there are lesser local Muslims. The Chinese Muslims used to be the majority, but now they are among the minority, the very, very few minority. And most of the Muslims here are foreigners, so mainly from Indonesia, from India and Pakistan. So that's why the khutbah that we have in this masjid is done mostly in English, Chinese, and Arabic. If we only spoke in Chinese, then nobody's going to understand. Another thing that a lot of people would be asking is that, is there any halal restaurants nearby? And the sad answer is there's only one halal restaurant just next to the masjid. Actually, on the left-hand side, there is an Indonesian restaurant. It's actually quite tasty, but that's the only option we have, because the reason is this whole area, and specifically this street, the rent is very, very high. So if you want to manage a restaurant business, it would be very, very difficult if you don't have enough customers. And I still remember when I was a kid, there used to be a couple more halal restaurants just a few blocks away, but they eventually all shut down because of the rent. So inshallah, hopefully, I hope that someday maybe we could do something inside this masjid using the space that we have in the main hall and also the kitchen that we have to serve the Muslims who are living here, and especially the tourists as well, because we have a lot of Muslim tourists, especially from Malaysia. Usually they come as a whole group with a bus, and a lot of them, they want to try local halal Taiwanese food, but unfortunately that is still very difficult as well, because as you know, most of the Muslims living in Taiwan are foreigners. They are not Taiwanese. So that's why the food that you would find, the halal food that you would find, are still Indian, Arabian, and so on. You would find butter chicken, biryani, you would find nasi goreng, you would find kebab and so on, but it's still a bit hard to find local Taiwanese food because we don't have that many local Taiwanese Muslims. So inshallah, I hope that we would have more Taiwanese Muslims or foreign Muslims, doesn't matter. I hope that we can have more options And that is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully one day you can come and visit this masjid as well. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and please comment down below and let me know what are the things that you're curious about the Muslim life in Taiwan. See you next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.